Hi friends, host Eric here, talking with famous people, and I'm having a little fun with Chad tonight. So, join me.
Hello everyone, it's Chad, and today's topic is ENTP. I'm just going to give one little piece of advice for you.
Note, guys, we can take him seriously. We know why we can take him seriously. He is a certified MBTI practitioner. That's right. He's been certified to practice MBTI. Chad, I want to talk to you about some of the licenses that quadravel.com offers. We license everything from home gardeners to sitting in a chair. It's important to be a licensed chair sitter. You know you sit better than other people when you've been licensed.
ENTP, I'm just going to give one little piece of advice for ENTPs. I think that ENTPs, to become more effective, they have to learn how to better handle disagreements. Typically with their NT style, when they're around people, they may feel that are less devoted or competent.
Handling disagreements. Better handle disagreements. Well, I agree with you, Chad. The way to better handle disagreements is to equip individuals with the correct arguments, the ones that win the argument, and then there won't be any disagreements between reasonable people as long as everyone agrees to reciprocal burdens on consistency. So, Chad, that's a much more important question to answer than when values are in concert, right? What do you do when values conflict, Chad? That's the question.
They may typically run over these people or cause a lot of noise or problems with that, and sometimes they do this unknowingly.
Okay, Chad, you're entering this question about the disagreement without presupposing anything for us to work with here about who's actually right and wrong in the conversation. You see, you're saying there's a dispute here, and the ENTP is involved in it, and the ENTP needs to do blah, 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 blah. You're assuming that all resolutions of the dispute are equal, but they're not. And whether or not the dispute should be resolved in a way that makes everybody feel happy is entirely dependent on the nature of the wrongness of the person who's wrong in the dispute. To not talk about it as though it weren't the case is to provide counter insight into things. You see?
I think what their angle should be is to help lower their intensity volume. Definitely.
Chad. Lower my intensity volume? I'm an ENTP. I don't know if you're aware of this. I actually make a YouTube channel too myself. You probably never heard of it. Anyway, the point is, I'm an ENTP, and let me tell you something, Chad. The problem here is not my intensity level. It's your failure to produce any insight.
Take the intensity out of it. I think if you, by looking at common ground, win-win scenarios, it definitely can help ENTPs kind of gain a footing.
Okay, that's real useful, Chad. That's really useful. If I have a choice between a win-lose situation and a win-win situation, what do you think I'm going to choose? Win-win. Now, if we're going to just sit around and lick unicorns and pretend land, then those are the sort of situations we actually have to deal with in life. But in reality, of course, it's much more complicated than that. You might have a win-win-lose. You might have a win-win in the short term, but a win-lose long term, or vice versa. You have to factor all those things in. It's a very complicated matter indeed. Sometimes engineering conflict is the best thing for both parties, whether it makes one party uncomfortable or not. So, Chad, you provided no insight for any meaningful, actual, real-world instance that one might encounter a disagreement. Let's see what else you have to say.
And improve their relationships with others and look for more of a collaborative effort amongst each other versus, hey, I win, you lose, win-lose situations. So I think...
Chad, does collaboration for you mean Chad tells people what to do? I bet that's what collaboration means for you, huh? I bet collaborating with Chad comes with lots of rules. Huh, Chad?
An ENTP with their mental versatility, looking at every situation as a win-win, since they have this innate ability to look at multiple angles from an argument, I think if they diverted that to looking at it from a position of how can both of us win in this discussion?
We both win when I school you. You win more than me. You learn a great deal from this, assuming you watch it. Now, as an ENTJ, watching this video is not a practical way to achieve your manipulative goals. You know an understanding of this win-win question that's vastly more sophisticated than the one you're presenting. you're assuming your audience is filled with idiots.
They can definitely improve their relationships.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks. I'll take that advice to heart. I'm going to improve my relationships with everybody by just going along with it when they're wrong. No, Chad. Bad advice. You've given bad advice to us. I'm going to take away your certification. I'm going to make you a certified trainee MBTI practitioner. How do you like that, Chad?